Astronaut Lai Ka-ying may soon be meeting with students for a live session from space. Chief Executive heads to Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan to explore commercial opportunities. And Chinese Major General leads Army delegates at Asian Defense Summit. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Secretary for Innovation, Technology and Industry Sun Dong reveals Hong Kong's first astronaut Lai Ka-ying could soon be conducting a live lesson from space for students back home. She may return to Hong Kong alongside the crew of Shenzhou 23 as early as the first half of 2027. Speaking with the TVB News, Sun also describes Lai's journey into space as a rare event capable of uniting the entire community. Secretary for Innovation, Technology and Industry Sun Dong reveals that Lai Ka-ying stood out from a field of 120 candidates thanks to her exceptional academic credentials, physical fitness and psychological resilience. Sun says Lai comes from a highly professional background. She's a mother of 3 and speaks Cantonese. People see her as someone from their own community, and that makes her story incredibly inspiring.
It was a historic moment that for the first time, a payload specialist from Hong Kong, Dr. Lai Ka-ying, has taken part in the National Space Mission. These achievements has made the whole Hong Kong very proud.
Authorities are now working to arrange a space-to-Earth dialogue between Lai and students in Hong Kong. Sun says China's Manned Space Agency responded positively, and coordination is underway with the Education Bureau and Beijing's Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office. The government has also expressed hope the Shenzhou 23 crew, including Lai, will visit Hong Kong after returning to Earth, potentially as early as the first half of next year. The latest Shenzhou mission not only carried Hong Kong's first astronaut into orbit, but also included the first payload developed in Hong Kong to be deployed aboard China's space station. Looking ahead, Sun says the SAR government is preparing to support China's planned crewed lunar mission in around 2030. That could include future astronaut recruitment exercises in Hong Kong if required by the national program. He stresses Hong Kong's greatest strength lies in fundamental scientific research.
Various research institutions and universities have been actively participating in many different national aerospace projects, including providing systems, instrumentation, and technical support for our country's lunar and Mars exploration mission.
Sun says he is not ruling out launching another special funding round to back related research projects. Sun outlines 3 emerging strategic priorities for Hong Kong's innovation sector, including aerospace, deep-sea exploration, and quantum tech, with discussions recently held with mainland aerospace companies involved in low Earth orbit satellite networks and Starlink-type tech to establish operations in the northern metropolis. The government will assess future demand before deciding whether to establish a dedicated space economy office to support industry development.
Having Hong Kong experts participating in national space mission to further strengthen our scientific research and inspire more young people to engage in the field of science and technology with the will to cultivating more IT talents for Hong Kong as well as our country.
To sustain public enthusiasm for space exploration, Sun says the Hong Kong Space Museum will display a mission insignia badge signed by all 3 Shenzhou 23 astronauts as part of an upcoming exhibition. The Hong Kong University of Science and Technology scholar who developed Musical, short for Multispectral Imaging Carbon Observatory, reveals Lai Ka-ying will be the one operating the device in space. His first data transmissions are expected as early as June. The compact high-precision carbon dioxide and methane detector arrived at China's Tiangong space station aboard Tianzhou 10 cargo craft earlier this month. The device also marks Hong Kong's first scientific payload operating aboard the Tiangong station. Chief Executive John Lee begins his 7-day visit to Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. Leading a business delegation, Lee says he hopes to bring good news back to Hong Kong and facilitate more collaboration between the city and the 2 Central Asian countries. Setting off this morning, the delegation is the largest in size in this current administration. Accompanying officials include Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development Elton Yao and Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury Christopher Hui. The group also includes more than 40 local business and professional representatives and about 30 representatives from mainland enterprises, covering fields such as finance, law, and technology. Belt and Road Commissioner Nicholas Ho says the trip aims to explore new markets and to establish various mechanisms between their governments. He adds Hong Kong can also assist Central Asia's natural resources and mineral companies in listing, financing, and bond issuance, as well as invest in the region's tourism industry. Kazakhstan capital of Astana, where locals under the age of 30 make up over half the population, has been drawing in residents from all across the Central Asian country as a region ripe for economic and residential opportunities. Timothy Lee tells us more.
A city in the steppes where futuristic architecture dominate the skyline. Much of the structures in the Kazakh capital were only constructed in the last 30 years, with Astana having only become the nation's capital in 1997. In mere decades, Astana managed to transform from a piece of sparsely populated grassland to a regional metropolis. During nighttime, the unique cityscape changes to something else entirely. Once named the youngest capital in the world, it's not just the city itself that's young, but also the people who live in it. Out of Astana's 1.6 million residents, more than half are below the age of 30. Even at 11 p.m. on a regular day, young Kazakhs could be seen roaming the capital streets. Locals speak Kazakh as their primary language, with Russian being the second language for most. The capital became the new home for 32-year-old Almaty native Aybarshin after she graduated from university. She expresses her awe at the rapid growth of the city.
I think what amazed me in Astana is how fast the city grew. And I don't only mean territorially or buildings. It's about the opportunities. I met here so many friends from all over the Kazakhstan, and we all came here for various reasons, but we all stayed. I think it is becoming both financial and business center, and that's what attracts people from Kazakhstan. I think there are still a lot of job opportunities for people.
But it's not just Astana where young people make up the majority in the region, as those aged 30 or below constitute around half of the population in all 5 Central Asian republics. The younger demographic seems to be driving economic growth in the country, with Kazakhstan's GDP rising from below $200 billion in 2021 to over $300 billion last year. Bruce Pang, the director of research at the Hong Kong Trade Development Council, says all countries in the region have rolled out a series of reforms in recent years that led to economic growth, adding the stability of their growth was compounded by the spending abilities of their young population. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
A Chinese delegate calls for joint efforts by Beijing and Washington to safeguard world peace, while publicly railing against the emerging manifestations of Japanese militarism when addressing a Shangri-La Dialogue, Asia's premier defense summit. Also during the Shangri-La Dialogue, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth remarks Washington's policy towards Taiwan has not changed, and it is for President Donald Trump to decide whether they will press ahead with a potential arms sales package to the island. Danny Zhou has the report.
Major General Meng Xiangqing of the National Defense University on Saturday headed the Chinese People's Liberation Army expert delegation to the Shangri-La Dialogue held annually in Singapore. Speaking on sidelines of the event, Meng underscored the most important political consensus reached by the Chinese and U.S. heads of state in Beijing talks was the building of a constructive relationship of strategic stability. He quoted President Xi Jinping as saying, "It's a stability that has manageable differences and with cooperation as the mainstay." Meng adds competition is inevitable, but should be conducted with both countries rejecting zero-sum thinking, noting they should respect each other's red lines and avoid conflict and confrontation to jointly safeguard world peace. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who was addressing the forum the second time, says the Trump administration is seeking a stable peace, fair trade and respectable relations with China, as he tones down comments last year calling the country an imminent threat.
And that's the expectation of our leadership, is hey, we're starting a new chapter, which is more collaborative, and at the mill-to-mill level, our job is to make sure we facilitate that interaction as much as possible.
It's defense spending.
Also at the Shangri-La Dialogue, Meng notes this year marks the 80th anniversary of the opening of the International Military Tribunal for the Far East. Referring to the resurgence of Japanese militarism, he says those forces not only glorify war crimes, but also promote distorted views of World War II history in an attempt to challenge the verdict of the Tokyo trials. And he casts doubts at whether their discussion of defense cooperation would win the trust of the international community. Pushing back against the claim, Shinjiro Koizumi attributes the reshaping of Japanese defense policy to China's rapidly expanding military.
There is a country that has a huge arsenal of nuclear weapons and strategic bombers. Japan has neither of such weapons, and yet Japan is labeled new militarism. China continues to increase its defense spending at a high level and is rapidly expanding its military capabilities across a wide range of areas without sufficient transparency.
Koizumi also describes China's external approach and military activities as matters of serious concern both for Japan and the world. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Welcome back. Iran's parliament is set to vote on a bill that would formalize the country's management of the Strait of Hormuz, a senior lawmaker said Saturday. This, as the U.S.-led Joint Maritime Information Center says, Washington's blockade of Iranian ports remains in place. A member of the Iranian parliament's presiding board says lawmakers had decided to codify the management of the Strait of Hormuz and expects the plan to become law. He says only Iran and Oman have the right to decide how the Strait of Hormuz should be managed, adding Iran has begun consultations with Oman, which has expressed preliminary agreement, and that the plan could be finalized in the near future. Paris police arrest more than 400 people as celebrations erupt into riots after Paris Saint-Germain clinches its second Champions League title. A group charged a local police station while others damaged shops and businesses across the city. Gloria Feng has the story.
French police arrested more than 400 people as fans celebrate Paris Saint-Germain's 4-3 victory over Arsenal to retain its title in the Champions League final in Budapest, Hungary, Saturday. Police sources say more than 20,000 people were celebrating on the Champs-Élysées, while police forces were carrying out operations to contain the crowd. Officers are seen firing tear gas and fending off crowds with shields. Dozens marched along the avenue near the Arc de Triomphe, where a kiosk was set on fire and at least 6 vehicles were damaged. Another group who made attempts to storm a police station in the posh 8th arrondissement was dispersed. Elsewhere across the city, fans caused disturbance with some vandalizing shops and setting fires. The main ring road surrounding Paris was briefly blockaded by a crowd before law enforcement stepped in. Officers also contained about 1,000 people gathered near the PSG stadium in the 16th arrondissement and cleared barricades made from bicycles. One officer was injured. The mayor's office of Paris's 15th arrondissement announced nearly 100,000 people are expected to gather at the Champ de Mars near the Eiffel Tower on Sunday for a celebratory PSG parade. Gloria Feng, TVB News.
Several Hong Kong airlines are canceling flights as Typhoon Jiangmi approaches Japan. Hong Kong Express announces that 6 flights between Hong Kong and Okinawa will be cancelled on Monday and on Tuesday. Travelers flying between Monday and Wednesday are reminded to check their flight status before heading to the airport. Meanwhile, Hong Kong Airlines expects flights to Okinawa on Monday and to Osaka on Wednesday may be delayed or cancelled. Comic-Con wraps up its inaugural Hong Kong edition at the Convention and Exhibition Center. Local exhibitors and an American comic artist both note stronger sales at the event than at similar conventions elsewhere. Superheroes galore in Wan Chai's Convention and Exhibition Center. From Batman to Deathstroke. As the three-day Comic-Con enters its final day, parents and children transforming themselves into their favorite comic book characters.
The kids obviously love comics, video games, superheroes, and so it's a great place to have them experience.
The atmosphere is a bit different from the Hong Kong ACG, and people are super nice, and compared to what we usually have, people now here in HKCC, they speak more English to us.
Among the exhibitors is American illustrator James Harris. Having taken part in around 10 Comic-Cons across Japan and the United States, Harris says this was his most successful convention yet. Sales approach 100,000 Hong Kong dollars, roughly 40% higher than what he typically earns at Japanese events.
This is the best ever I've ever had. Ever. Without a doubt. I'm so blown away. I feel like I'm living a dream right now. The people are 100% doing their best to support us, and we really, really appreciate that.
Local exhibitors also report strong business. This Hong Kong toy retailer offered up to 20% discount on selected items and says sales are around 20% higher than at previous local animation jamborees. Its founder Jan Lam hopes the event can help introduce more homegrown comic and entertainment properties to international audiences. Beyond shopping, visitors had the chance to see more than 200 movie props and collectibles inspired by superhero films. Among the highlights are signed memorabilia, including items linked to the late Chadwick Boseman, best known for portraying Black Panther, as well as shields and props associated with some of cinema's most iconic heroes.
Visitors without elaborate costumes like me could also join in the fun, as some exhibitors hand out character-themed headpieces like this for everyone to get into the Comic-Con spirit.
What began as a modest comic book gathering founded in San Diego 56 years ago has evolved into a global pop culture phenomenon. And now, for the first time, it has brought its own superhero magic to Hong Kong. Financial Secretary Paul Chan says the city's retail sales figures for April will be released this week. He expects there will be stable growth, with the figure continuing 12 months of consecutive positive trajectory. Hong Kong's retail sales figure for March is estimated to have reached $33.9 billion, a rise of 13% year-on-year. The financial secretary notes on his blog that the subsequent month's figure should reflect the city's stable economic recovery. This says Hong Kong recently surpasses Switzerland as the world's top cross-border wealth hub, according to the Boston Consulting Group's Global Wealth Report. A taxi in Wan Chai loses control and crashes into a barrier. No one was injured. The taxi involved overturned on Harbour Road. Police say the cabbie allegedly lost control of the vehicle at around noon after driving out of the Fenwick Street roundabout. It then rammed into a railing of about 6 meters long. The male driver crawled out on his own and did not need to be taken to hospital. And that's the news. Thank you for watching and have a great week ahead.